What are you wearing?
You said we were talking about Batman, so I'm wearing my Batman costume.
What's up, movie fans? We're the Hilsmaniacs, and today we're going to be starting a series of reviews on the Dark Knight Trilogy, starting with Batman Begins. Now, the reason we're doing this is because the new The Batman movie is coming out in a couple weeks. We know, obviously, it's not connected to the same, the original, like the Batman or Dark Knight Trilogy, but we figured they seem like similar movies.
And because they're the most recent solo Batman movies.
And they have like a darker tone to them, it seems like, based off the trailers we've seen of the new Batman movie. So we decided to go back and rewatch these ones. So let's get started. What did you think of Batman Begins?
I really like how they introduce like other characters too that we'll see throughout the trilogy. You know, like Commissioner Gordon, played by Gary Oldman. Even Scarecrow, you know, Cillian Murphy's character. Rachel Dawes. You know, just all these different characters that they were impactful in this movie, but they also play a role later on, so the way they also kind of showed them and what they're capable of in this movie really shows and leads to what they do in the rest of the trilogy. So I really like the character development in this movie.
I know, and it really all like meshed well together as well. You know, just like the way they integrated everything together, how everybody was associated with certain things. Like you said, the character development and all the other characters, it all kind of just blended perfectly together, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole overall story, too, you know, with that basically coming back to this new reality, you know, of, like, he had a different mindset now after... You know, after things
basically
happened.
What everybody does. It's similar to like Tony Stark in the first Iron Man movie.
Right.
You know, he got attacked by somebody, nearly killed, and then he comes out of it with a different perspective and a new outlook on his life and everything, where he needs to give his life a new purpose.
Well, and changes what his company does, exactly like
the same
Batman.
thing as this, where it was like, this came out 3 years before that, so I guess technically more of a
Iron Man copied Dark Knight.
I just like the whole the darker aspect of this as well, where it's just like, he's not just one of them flashy superheroes like Iron Man with the red and gold, or like Thor with the lightning and everything. He is a vigilante, similar to what Spider-Man is, but more like less colorful and things like that. And I just love how they showed that throughout. Like, it showed it from like a different angle where you can't see Batman, and just like they can't either. They'd turn around and he's there, and then he's gone all of a sudden, and he's hiding in the shadows, everything else. I love how they like filmed all that and choreographed it, sort of like when he's taking down thugs and things like that, or he's hanging from something. Like, we might be able to see him in the background for a minute, but they don't know he's there. You know, it kind of gave you that like horror movie vibe, sort of, for those people, and that's what I kind of hope they do this something similar with the new Batman movie coming out as well.
Yeah, I like that you brought up that point about him being like in the shadows, because that kind of shows his entire character, basically. Like, he doesn't want the credit for things happening. You know, he just wants to stop the bad things from happening, while allowing good things to thrive, basically. And he doesn't want the credit for it, because he even tells Gordon, like, you'll never have to say thank you, you know, for me doing what I'm doing. Because he's not doing it for him. He's not doing it for Bruce Wayne. He's doing it for Gotham City, which I think not a lot of, you know, a lot of superhero origin movies get to that point, but they don't really kind of start there, whereas I feel like Batman's first movie really showed that he's changed already, you know, and it just started his journey into this. And also I like that all of his technology and gadgets and stuff that he uses, none of them were really him that made them. You know, Lucius Fox helped him, which was Morgan Freeman's character.
It was mostly technology from his father's company,
stuff that he bought from somebody else. Or his own company. Yeah, it's not like Tony Stark, where like Tony made all of his equipment, he made his Iron Man suits and all that kind of stuff, whereas this, he had a lot of this technology given to him, so it also shows that like he's not this all-powerful hero.
He's not like a genius.
He still needs help to accomplish this stuff. And you look at like Alfred even, it helps him along the way with all kinds of different things and keeping his identity a secret and helping him build the stuff in the Batcave and rebuild the mansion at the end. So
and I feel like that made him feel more grounded and more like a real person, just that wants to do right and become a vigilante or whatever in order to take the law into his own hands, essentially. Like, it made it feel more real and more down to earth rather than like a bigger superhero that actually has powers and everything. He's not a genius. He just inherited his father's whole like mansion and his father's Wayne Enterprises and everything else. He inherited all that, so he just kind of goes around at points and just buys random things and stuff, but then he uses that to purchase all the technology for his suit and stuff
so that he can do good. So he's basically using his wealth to do good.
Exactly. And I liked that aspect of it, is where it made him feel more human. Like, that's something that we would do if we were doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it more relatable, I guess. Like, this is just a normal guy. Like, he's not invincible just because his costume might be bulletproof, because he's wearing a bulletproof vest or whatever. It's like he's still a normal person. He still gets bruises, like we saw in one of the scenes in the movie. He has all kinds of bruises from when he fell off a roof. So he still gets hurt. He still feels the effects of everything, but he doesn't care because he wants to do what's right. And that just shows that he's a normal person who's not afraid to put himself out there to do what's right.
And that even leads like into the next two movies and stuff as well, where he learns to develop the suit more and make some changes to it that will help him in other battles he's going through and things like that, which makes it even more realistic. Like, he's realizing like, oh, that hurt, so now I need something to protect from a bullet more, or I need knife protection or whatever, things like that. Like, he develops his suit throughout the whole series. So I kind of like, this is where it started. And I especially liked in this movie just the story overall, but like the way they incorporated like him as a child and witnessing his parents get killed, and it was kind of his fault because he asked them to leave the theater that they were in because he was scared of the bats that were on stage because of an incident with a well that he fell into early on. He was afraid of bats, so he asked them to leave the theater, and then they ended up getting shot, so it's kind of weighing on his mind. And that, it all comes back into play later on and stuff. So that kind of, they did a nice job of showing his character development from when he was a child to later on in life when he inherits his father's enterprise and everything else. And like him not even wanting it. Like, he was leaving the mansion and he didn't even want it at first. He even said he'd like burn it to the ground if he could, because he didn't really care about it. But then, he has this whole change of heart and comes back and to appreciate it. So I kind of like how they showed all that in a mix of flashbacks and current things that were happening. So they did that all well, as well. They blended it all nicely together. So overall, I mean, I don't know if it's like a perfect movie, but if I was to give it a rating or something, I'd say like a 4 out of 5 at least. I didn't see anything wrong with it. It's not that complicated to understand, really.
Not perfect. I mean, I don't think there's been a perfect movie ever. But it's definitely better than some other Batman movies I've seen.
Yeah, if you look at
you, Batman and Robin.
Compared to like those original like Michael Keaton Batmans and everything, this was definitely a different take on the character. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments section. If you've ever seen Batman Begins, what did you think of the movie? What kind of rating would you give it? If you haven't seen it, we do recommend checking it out, as well as the 2 sequels that came along with it. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. We're going to be covering all 3 movies in the Dark Knight Trilogy, and then we will, of course, review The Batman when that comes out next month. Thank you for watching this video, everyone.
And remember, leave the scumbaggery at home, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye guys.
Subscribe.